Well, congratulations on everything going for you guys. You guys got a lot going on.
Thank you very
Um,
much. I appreciate it.
yeah, you guys just put out a new record. Could you talk about the difference between writing Lost Souls and Reflections?
Yeah. So Lost Souls was like we wrote Lost Souls. It was lyrically, it was like more about me and what I've been through in my past and stuff like that. We It was like the first body of music that we'd written together that wasn't properly rushed or anything like that to get out. So it was nice to spend a bit of time on it. Um, but with Reflections, it was between like Reflections and Lost Souls, like we had like the lockdown and stuff like that, and we'd been on like long tours and stuff like that. So it gave us a lot more time to like get to know each other properly and like bond as a band and stuff. So we it gave us like that dialogue and like openness to be able to talk to each other about, like the crap we've gone through in our past and stuff like that. So that really helped us leading into writing Reflections, because we made sure that it was more about all of our stories and not, just me. Like the reason why we called it Reflections is because we wanted each song to like reflect upon something we've been through in our past, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think they're like the main big differences. Musically, we wanted to add more layers than we did in Lost Souls. We wanted to add a lot more electronic and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Reflections is a lot more of an experimental album than Lost Souls, if you know what I mean. But that's
Yeah.
kind of like the direction that we want to go. We want to keep experimenting with different genres and stuff like that, rather than just be this little emo band. So yeah.
Yeah, you've also talked before about how you all have like a lot of different influences. Do you think that helps you guys like get that more like eclectic sound?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, like that's one of the main aspects of how I was experimenting. I mean, I come from like more of an acoustic background, you know what I mean? Like I had only ever been in like a few bands before this one. I mainly did like acoustic music. So, and Craig's like the metalhead in the band, and Benji loves like 80s music and synthwave and stuff like that. So we've definitely tried melding some of our influences together, but I think we've held back. We're still holding back a bit, I think, just because we're still learning. We're still like learning how to write properly with each other. Do you know what I mean? Like sit down, spend hours and hours and hours all in one day, rather than like having to do it over Zoom and over the computer and stuff like that. So I think the more that we're able to do that, the more we'll be able to put our past like influences in and stuff like that. Like I want to write a lot more acoustic minded music and stuff like that, but it's about finding the right time to do it and which album would be the right album to do it in. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we're still experimenting.
Could you talk about what you mean by like acoustic minded music?
So beforehand, like, have you ever heard of any artist called like Newton Faulkner
Hmm.
or yeah, or Andy McKay, stuff like that? That's a lot more dependent on acoustic guitar and like like nice little piano touches and stuff like that. A little bit like Hopes and Dreams, but even more like stripped back.
Right. Um, Also, you've had the chance to work with a lot of people in the industry lately, like Tel Smith, and you've also been able to work with Philip Strand. Could you talk about that experience and like how it helped shape the songs that you worked on?
So the feature we did with Telly was we wrote the song More Than Misery, and Benji writ that little breakdown bit, and we just thought this is the perfect song to try and get a feature on, because it was our first feature, I believe. And I've talked to Tell for quite a while online and stuff like that, and I thought it'd be really cool to get Tell to do the screaming part, because she doesn't, or beforehand he didn't really do that much screaming. Do you know what I mean? He used to years ago, but over the years he does a lot more singing. So I thought it'd be like a nice surprise. And his scream was like the perfect type of sound and timbre that we wanted to go for. We wanted that like really gritty, shouty scream. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and Tell's an awesome guy. We've not even like met person to person yet. So it'll be cool. Hopefully we can get him on stage and do the song with us live one day. And with Philip, we've worked with Philip on this album and the last album. The guy is an absolute musical god. Like his brain is incredible. And you know, I believe that like the more brains you have working on one piece of music, the better snippets of perfection and awesomeness you're going to get from it. Do you know what I mean? So it was a blessing to work with Phil. We've toured with him as well. He's a very, very funny guy. Yeah. So you should definitely go check out his band Normandy if you've not heard of them. They're a dope band.
Do you have any like ideal person in the future you'd like want to work with?
Oh my God, where would I start? Noah from Bad Omens would be really cool. Jesse from Dream State would be really cool to get on. Danny Warnsop would be dope. There's so many. Like there's so many I could go on for hours. Who else? And I think of some like we want to get more like female vocalists on some stuff as well. So we're definitely gonna like look into that as well.
Awesome. Um, kind of shifting gears a little bit about tours. You were just on tour with Bless the Fall. Could you talk about what that experience was like?
That was mad. Like mad. I've listened to Bless the Fall since I was younger, do you know what I mean? So when we found out that we was going on tour with them, I was losing myself, honestly. But yeah, they're just awesome, humble guys. They're insanely talented at their craft, and they like welcomed us with open arms. We're still kind of new to the touring thing. Do you know what I mean? We've not really done that many tours since we started, so it was a bit weird, like seeing Bo and all that, and like I can't believe that like I'm looking at you in person right now. So yeah, it was awesome. Like he gave me like loads of little like tips and tricks vocally and stuff like that I can do live and stuff. So they're a pleasure to work with. They're a pleasure to tour with, and I hope that we can do it again. It was definitely like the most successful tour we've done as well. Like as a band growing and as a vocalist, it was the first tour I've ever done where I've not lost my voice. So we're on the up. We're definitely on the up.
What do you think was like the most valuable piece of advice that you got throughout that tour? Or, like the most valuable lesson you learned?
I'm one of those people that's always in their head. Do you know what I mean? So I do this thing like when I'm on tour, I wake up and the first thing I do is I go, just to like check where my voice is. Even though it's like 8 a.m. or something, there's no point in doing it that early. But all day until we play the show, that depending on how bad that single note is, like if it's bad, I'm like, oh my God, no, like I'm done. I can't perform anything like that. But every night I end up being able to, but every time it happens, I'm still the same. Do you know what I mean? So his advice to me was to just think back to every time this happens, like in the past. Think back to like the worst your voice was, how you know how messed up it was, and think that you still got through that gig. Do you know what I mean? To a standard that you're remotely happy with when your voice is that bad. So he was like, just always think back to those moments and remember that no matter how bad your voice is, up to a certain level, you'll be able to perform. Do you know what I mean? So unless I'm like, wake up and I'm like this, I know I definitely won't be able to perform. So yeah, just to basically get out of my head, to be fair.
Yeah. And what do you think your favorite part about playing live is?
Well, what? I don't think I have a favorite part or every part would be my favorite. It's playing a show is an experience. Do you know what I mean? And then when you've got like hundreds and hundreds of people in front of you along for the ride, and then you see them having a good time and stuff like that, there's no better feeling. Do you know what I mean? Something that you've made and put so much, blood, sweat, and tears into and stuff like that. You see the payoff when you're playing it live. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, there's no better part. There's definitely bad parts of playing shows, like when your laptop breaks and stuff like that. Like a laptop broke once and I had to try and do like a 5-10 minute comedy show basically or something. Everyone behind me was going nuts trying to fix everything and I'm just stood on this on this riser, like staring at me, and it's just dead silent. And I'm just like, oh my God, no. So I just spent like 10 minutes rolling off bad dad jokes and stuff like that. But yeah, every single part of playing live is there's no one part better than the other. It's all amazing. It's the
Do you
whole
have a
reason why we do it.
do you have a favorite part, like being in a band, like the live experience or writing experience, or
My favorite part about being in a band would be the part where you're writing a song and like you're really, really into it instantly like that. And then the whole process is just like really smooth. That's really good. And playing live is like the best, the best part of being in a band. That's the whole reason why you do it. You write music and people all over the world can relate to what you're saying and the message you're trying to put across, but you only see that when you're playing live. Do you know what I mean? So
mm,
that's the best part. Having to stay in a van for like 8 weeks long with loads of other smelly, sweaty men isn't the best. But yeah, being in a band as a whole is the best job in the world. 100%.
yeah. You've also I've seen somewhere that you said that if Caskets didn't work out, you were like gonna stop pursuing music. Could you talk about like
Yeah.
that thought process and like what the success of Caskets means to you?
Yeah. So I've been like, as many other people I've been doing music since I was like 14, 15. Do you know what I mean? I've been in bands. I went to uni to study music. It's all I've ever wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? It's the only thing I'm any good at, to be honest. Like ask me to do something DIY or something, and I haven't got a clue. Um, so yeah, it was one of those things where like I look back in hindsight and I realized I was just like plodding along with not really any idea of how to get a foot in the industry or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, and I'd like put so much stuff, like I'd put music before so much stuff, my health a lot of times, sometimes. Um, and I like never gave myself the opportunity to like finish college or go get like a very, a decent paid job and stuff like that. I was like always wanted to do music. So, but it got to the point just before I got into Caskets, I didn't do anything musically for like 3 years, and I was seriously like thinking like this is it now. I'm not going to bother anymore. And then I got offered this opportunity. Um, so yeah, I always thought that like, and when I started with these guys, I was looking around and there was all this gear and stuff that was like top of the range and stuff like that. And these guys, I was like, God, these really know what they're on about. Like Benji really knows how to write a song. Do you know what I mean? So it got me excited again. It got me more excited than I'd been in years for music. But I always said that like didn't if this didn't go anywhere by the time I was like early 30s, which I'm like at now, then I'd knock it on the head and I'd go back to school and I'd try and earn a living doing something else. But yeah, thankfully so far, fingers crossed, it's doing really well. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you think not having a backup plan helped like drive you to do music?
Um, yeah, definitely. 100%. I was in that mindset for years where like very ignorantly, just like I'll just get one of these, I'll just get a temp job and stuff like that, and then I'll go away on tour and I'll just keep doing that, and eventually something's got to pay off. Like for the love of God, please. And it didn't, and it doesn't for many people, and I kind of knocked it on the head, but I reckon if I'd have thought, right, if this doesn't happen, like years ago, if I'd have thought I'm going to do this on 25 and then I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to learn how to be I don't know, a lawyer or something boring. Um, then yeah, I think I would have already stopped doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because I would have had it in my head that I can just got it in my head now where I can just go and do this job and earn a good living for my family and my friends and stuff like that. But it was my family and my friends that kind of pushed me to keep pursuing it. Do you know what I mean? They obviously saw something in me that I didn't see myself for a long time. So yeah, I think you're right. Like if I did have a black backup plan, I probably would have already caved in.
And you like started kind of talking about this earlier, but how did the band start? You said you were like offered the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. So Chris and Benji were already in a band called Fault Lines. And for one reason or another, they released an EP, and then for one reason or another, like the singer just left. One day, just before or just after their first ever show or something like that. And I'd already known Chris and Benji they came to see in one of my previous bands years before. So they just messaged me and asked me if I'd like to try out for the band, and I did, which was scary, by the way, like singing in this room and there's just like five of the guys just staring at you. Yeah, it was well daunting. But yeah, like I must have done well because I got in, and then we got James in through Andy, who he recorded our EP. So it was like we need a drummer, and it was like you need to have a look at this guy James. So snap James up because he's awesome. And then yeah, we've known Craig for quite a few years, and our bass player left. And then we decided that Chris to go on bass, and then we got Craig in as another guitarist because Craig is a better guitarist than all of us put together, probably. So yeah, that's basically where it started. And here we are, still going strong as ever, thankfully.
Yeah, you guys also you started with the name Captives, but had to change it to Caskets. Has the name change like grown on you, or is it still like oh, that situation sucks, kind of?
Yeah, both. But the name's grown. Yeah, it was actually so when we first named the band, we was all like, right, everyone go away and write a list of band names that you like and stuff, and we'll all come together and we'll consolidate it all down and stuff like that. And Caskets was in one of those lists, but we ended up going with Captives. So when we had to like change the name, we knew that we wanted to keep the branding. We wanted it to be like a single worded word that started with C. So we just went back through those notes, and there was a couple. We jotted them down, and then we literally went through the dictionary and looked at every word starting with C. Like we went through all of them. And yeah, we just fell back on Caskets. We kind of don't give the name too much like thought. Do you know what I mean? Like how we see it, like it's still the same band doing the same songs. Do you know what I mean? Nothing's changed apart from the name. So yeah, I mean, I like it. I think I like it better than I like Captives now. And a lot of people say that. They say it suits the band more. But yeah, it was a nightmare, mate. That was. We was on the music video to Lost Souls when we found out we were getting sued for the name change. So yeah, we had to do that whole shoot with that in our brain, thinking like, oh, we've got to sort this when we get home. So yeah, it was a nightmare, but it helped kind of. It was a blessing in disguise. It like kind of helped get our name out there a little bit more when we had to release all, that we were changing our name and stuff. So yeah, it was a nightmare. But yeah, I'm happy with it.
That's good. At least you guys also have like, at least to me, very unique branding in terms of like what your albums look like, is very cohesive.
Thank you very much.
Did you guys like think about that when you were like making your albums with like making it that specific look, or could you tell me about that?
All the time. So we knew when we first started the band, we knew that like we need to really nail our merch and our branding and stuff like that. We was like really thinking hard into like the business aspect of it. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I can't remember what you asked me now. My brain's just gone totally blank.
About like your branding, like your thought process with
Oh yeah,
like
there we go. So we especially like wanted to put all our effort and all our ideas we could into our merch. You know what I mean? So we must have spent months and months and months and months like coming up with different merch ideas and stuff like that. And we wanted like the aesthetic to like we wanted for them to see something that doesn't say Caskets on it, but let's say like it's a Caskets t-shirt, but it doesn't say Caskets on it. But you look at the branding and you think that looks like a Casket shirt. That's really, like, in my opinion, that's really important to having a band, to be memorable to people, because people forget about you like that nowadays. So you need so many things around you that are going to point people's eyes back towards you and stuff like that, and good branding, making sure everything is good on the eye and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Is really important in my opinion. But when it came to like, we tried to think, I won't say think outside the box, but we try and think about cool things that we could run for merch that aren't being done. Like bands have done tarot cards before, but we wanted to make sure that we did a tarot card per song, that had its own graphic and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Because they're one of our best sellers. People love that type of stuff. And I think for people to have one of those types of collections is a really unique thing to have when it comes to supporting a band. Do you know what I mean? And we make sure like we sign every single one and stuff like that. So yeah, I also think our branding has helped us like get our name out there. Do you know what I mean? So we always make sure that it's a priority, definitely.
Yeah. Um, I don't have many other questions. Do you have anything you want to share about 2024 that you can talk about?
There's not much, to be fair. We're playing Radar Fest in July. We have got some things like signed off, ready to announce. They're just not being announced yet. Do you know what I mean? But we've got some cool tours ready to announce, and we've already started writing new music for the next album. And I'm really wanting to like, hopefully next year I'm wanting to put something out that's like an unstripped album or something like that. I think that'd be cool. But we'll see. It's looking like our busiest year next year so far already. So hopefully I get time to.
Yeah. Do you have songs specifically that you have like in mind to make like stripped back versions of?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've already done some well, not done, but I've already like demoed them out. Do you know what I mean? So some are already ready to like go into the studio and stuff. But I'm not going to tell you any of them.
Sure.
You'll have to wait. You'll have to wait.
All right. Do you have anything else that you want to add or anything else you want to talk about?
But no, thank you very much for having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.